From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Live from the CBS studios in San Francisco, I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Andrea Nakano. Beautiful weather out there for Mother's Day, and we're in for a bit of a warm-up, I hear, Darren. Yes. Is that right?
By Tuesday, Andrea, but the real story is how dramatically cooler we are today than just yesterday. Some of us are 20 degrees cooler for Mother's Day than you were on Sunday. It's not even a little more than that. Santa Rosa, the temperature dropped like 24 degrees in just 24 hours. You can see part of the reason here, strong onshore surge with the marine layer coming in. It's 63 in the city right now. Yesterday it was 73, so we felt a 10-degree drop here. If we go inland to the Tri-Valley, where the number is 78 degrees in Dublin, that drop for the Tri-Valley is a 14-degree change. But look at Concord. You are right now 21 degrees cooler than you were yesterday. And even though the distance is not as dramatic when you get into the heart of the bay, everybody did this. Tomorrow, we're pretty much staying right here. So Monday's just like this. In fact, just a quick look ahead to Monday's daytime highs. These are pretty much a repeat of what Sunday was. And then Tuesday, we crank it back up again. There's going to be some 90s that show up for some of those warmer inland East Bay valleys. We'll pick out each of those locations coming up in the complete first alert forecast, and I'll show you how that won't last either. I'll see you in a couple minutes, guys.
All right, thanks, Darren. It was just about perfect outside today for Mother's Day, and for the first time in years, we're heading into the warmer weather with plenty of water in our lakes and reservoirs. Len Ramirez checks in from Vasona Reservoir in the South Bay.
Well, boating season has returned in a big way here at Vasona County Park, and the timing today was just about perfect with plenty of water, warm weather, and of course, Mother's Day. A feast on the grill, a picnic on the grass, and an inviting body of water.
Have fun.
It was all part of the Mother's Day experience at Vasona Reservoir. The heavy winter rains are just a memory now, but their benefits are being fully enjoyed. The reservoir is 95% full, and temperatures were around 85 degrees, making for a memorable outing for Andrea, an avid outdoor enthusiast, and her twin boys.
The benefit is awesome. Nature is blooming because of all the wind, and the warm weather is finally coming and for us to enjoy. I have my special sons with me, so it's the best Mother's Day ever.
The high water levels are also crucial for one local rowing team. This dragon boat crew from Santa Cruz is getting into shape for a big competition next week.
So if there's a low water level, then we just can't practice, period. Like, we just run into mud and everything. So having water here and having like adequate depth is super important.
But for most, the warmer weather was ideal for honoring the mothers in their lives.
We have a great-grandma, grandma, young moms.
This Iranian-American family had a Mother's Day reunion and a sort of changing of the guard when it comes to planning complex, multi-family get-togethers like this.
And this time, it was actually the younger generation that planned this and brought us together. Yes. So it's really lovely that the younger generations are started taking over.
And even treated us
and
with the lunch.
To the lunch. So we're like, wow,
not
this
only
is so
we didn't
great.
bring anything.
This is the Navid Farsad family, but there were so many others who came together today for good times under the warm and sunny skies.
Being a mom is tough enough, even when you don't have to worry about things like food for your kids and about shelter. A San Francisco nonprofit held a special Mother's Day celebration for the homeless. Compass Family Services and Le Colonial Restaurant hosted 80 mothers and their families for a special brunch. And the moms say it's nice to be recognized.
I feel great. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing that all of these mothers get recognized today. Sometimes people don't have that support system to do it, and sometimes kids are too young to show mothers, so they might feel lonely.
It is the fourth year the restaurant has hosted the event. Moms bundled up under chilly conditions to enjoy them. The Golden Gate Park Band played a number of songs to at least warm the hearts of all those mothers on Mother's Day. Looks like a nice day out there. A hiker had to be rescued after he tumbled more than 100 feet down a rock outcropping in Alum Rock Park last night. This is why they call it Alum Rock. He was saved thanks to his girlfriend. The hiker had no cell service, but he had told his girlfriend he'd be hiking in the area. A CHP helicopter was able to track him down and pull him out. Look to the Mexican border, where it is now illegal for the U.S. to reject asylum seekers without a hearing. Homeland Security says the number of migrant encounters has fallen since the pandemic-era law was lifted on Thursday night.
Border control officials say it's too early to tell if that trend will continue. Christian Benavides reports.
In Brownsville, Texas, migrants are seen waiting at this bus station. They're among the lucky who made it into the U.S. Tens of thousands of people are crowded in Mexico waiting to enter. Still, the large wave of migrants so many cities were bracing for hasn't materialized.
The United States Border Patrol has experienced a 50% drop in the number of encounters versus what we were experiencing earlier in the week, before Title 42 ended.
Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas says that number went from over 10,000 encounters to 6,300 on Friday and about 4,200 on Saturday.
We have communicated very clearly a vitally important message to the individuals who are thinking of arriving at our southern border.
But along border towns, holding facilities are bursting at the seams. Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez represents El Paso.
In this particular facility, it's meant to house 1,000 people. It's housing over 3,000. In one of these rooms, it's meant the max capacity is 90 people. There was over 400 in here. That's a 450% capacity. We can't allow not that bad to be the normal.
Humanitarian efforts are underway to help the asylum seekers from California to New York and Colorado, where their next steps remain uncertain.
Despite the decrease in numbers in a federal court filing on Friday, the Border Patrol deputy chief said his agency was still preparing for migrant arrivals to increase between 12 and 14,000 a day.
In Washington, still no agreement on the debt ceiling. President Biden says negotiations, though, are moving along. It's been 2.5 weeks since the House barely passed the Republican bill to raise the debt ceiling. But Republicans want to cut spending. Democrats say no way. And without the agreement, the government could run out of money as soon as June 1st.
And ultimately, the stakes are the United States of America has never defaulted on its debt, and we can't. Because defaulting on our debt isn't only about financial markets, it's about paying our Social Security recipients, it's about paying our troops, it's about paying the men and women who are working the border today.
The president said that he expects talks to resume on Tuesday. He is optimistic that they'll reach an agreement before the deadline.
And speaking of negotiations, there's been some progress this weekend toward ending the Oakland teacher strike, but for now it is still on.
Last night, we reported the teachers union and the district finally agreed on some so-called common good items, and that's a major step toward ending the strike.
And while this is a big step in getting teachers and students back in the classroom, the teachers union says there's still more work to be done.
Here are some of the common good items that have been reached: housing and transportation, a community schools grant program, Black thriving community schools, and limiting school closures.
You know, of course, we're cautiously optimistic about negotiations right now for the entire collective bargaining agreement, but until, you know, negotiations are completely over and until, you know, we've actually signed an agreement, the fight, you know, kind of continues at this moment.
The union and the district are still negotiating today, but there are only 9 days left in the school year and the first graduation. Oakland High School is scheduled for a week from tomorrow. We'll continue to follow this story for updates. And turning now to other news, Vallejo police are investigating a deadly shooting that happened last night. It happened just before 9 o'clock on Main Street near Sacramento. Police say officers say a man with a gunshot wound died at the hospital. Police are still looking for the suspect and a possible motive. The CHP says it has recovered 3 stolen cars after a high-speed chase across the Bay Bridge. CHP officials claim they started chasing the cars after they were seen speeding on the bridge. A CHP plane helped track the cars through the streets of Oakland. Both CHP and Oakland police officers eventually caught up with the cars, 2 Dodge Chargers and a Dodge Challenger. Multiple people were arrested, and they also say they found a gun and several stolen catalytic converters. Hundreds of families dealing with childhood cancer are enjoying roller coasters in the South Bay today. Great America in Santa Clara opens its doors for free for those families every Mother's Day in partnership with the American Cancer Society.
It's just a great event. I mean, we've loved it since the second we came, and for us, I guess it's just It's just, it's great to be around all the families and everyone that we can relate to, and kind of we all know what we've all been going through.
Organizers are including kids who can't attend due to treatment going around the state delivering teddy bears.
Yosemite has closed 3 campgrounds because of flooding from the Sierra snowmelt. It's going to be a common story the next month or two. This is a video from the park's webcams, and that's actually the evidence of the water coming. They're closing Housekeeping Camp and Lower and North Pines campgrounds. The park says more closures are possible. They had twice the amount of snow this year, and they are concerned about flooding on the Merced River. And this is our veteran on the Merced River.
More closures are likely.
Yeah.
So I want to just show you a couple of images to drive that point home, especially considering the one they're closing this week in Housekeeping Camp. That's exceptionally popular, especially for families.
Right down on the valley floor.
It's right on the river. Yeah, right on the valley floor and right on the river. First of all, here's the forecast. Watch the wavy line over the next few days. That's the forecast for the Merced River. The red line going across right here, that's flood stage. The dates down here on the bottom, this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The black line is the line to look at. That's the line that gives you the specific forecast of what the river's likely going to do. That only takes us through Friday. Here's why this is going to go on for a while. We're going to go to the 10-day forecast. It's going to look a little less dramatic because they needed to make more room. But the point of this is going all the way out here towards May 24th. It looks as though we're going to be staying above flood stage. And some of these gray lines on here, that's showing you where the potential is for a spike in heat, that the river could go much higher than that. And they don't know. We've got to wait and see how this is going to go. The potential is there for flooding to become a lot more significant in Yosemite. And just a review on this, here's a real pretty imagery of what the snowpack looks like in the Sierra right now. That's actual imagery showing you the depth of the snowpack over the Sierra. And if we come in for a close-up look at that, the one thing I can do here is read some of the snow gauges up there. 77 inches. I know the writing's small on there, but where it says 77 inches on there, that's telling you if you melted all the snow here in the high country of the Sierra, right above Yosemite Valley, you'd have about 6 feet of standing water. That's still there now, which is an obscene amount of water to still have sitting above Yosemite Valley. And for perspective, here's the valley. Beautiful display of it. You can pick out El Capitan and Half Dome. And when we take a close-up look here, you can see how the valley's just one big floodplain. There are the beautiful meadows, Cook's Meadow. And as we fly through, we're going to come to a place called Happy Isles. And you'll see that sits right on the edge of the river. You can see why the concern would be here and why they have to close it. So there's a lot of water that still has to go through the valley.
Yeah, we'll see you back here at 11.